Like you weren't there at the start, so it's not like a true founder.
So I have a question on a different topic. So this might, I think this is an interesting one for me specifically because when I started the game, like I'm a collector, right? And I love collecting stuff. Like I have a bunch of graded cards, I have a bunch of signed jerseys for sports teams I like. So when I joined this game, like, you know what, I want to invest in Lost Relics. The first thing I bought in this game was a founder's token. And I want to know like what you think about the founder's token in terms of like what are your plans for the future, if anything, with it, and like what it became compared to like what you envisioned when you put it out as like a hey, this is early access thing that you can use, you can buy to support me.
So, I guess there's a bit of history with it. So, in the very, very early days when I first joined the Engine multiverse, um, there'd already been, I think it was 4 or 5 titles that had signed, like not signed, but like joined Engine's universe early on, and they were already developing games. And then Engine closed off access to that. And during that time, I was working for a different company. I had no ability to gain access because I already had another full-time job. I then decided at the end of that that I would look at Engine again, and they so happened to have an early access program. So I was like, okay, let's do it. I'll just join. So I was the first person to join their early access program, as far as I remember. And there was this thing called Multiverse Founders Token, and the players that originally joined my Telegram when I first opened it up were asking, "When are you going to have this? When are you going to do this?" And I had no idea what it was at the time. So um, I had to kind of ask, I'm like, well, what is this? And they're like, oh, other projects do this. They give away like a founder's token, you pay some money and you get certain benefits. And they were kind of describing all these benefits that these other projects would have. And at the time, there was another project that had joined just after me, and they had announced they were doing a founder's token as well. And they had a bunch of these benefits that they were going to release. Um, at that time I thought I was part of that multiverse founders token thing, but that was just kind of like a setup by Engine for those very, very early adopters. And Engine had minted those founders tokens, and I think they were supposed to support them in their games or something like that. So I was like, okay, well, I can do a similar thing. Everyone keeps asking me, please add this founders token. Please let me give you some money in order to support it and let us have some sort of benefits. So like I kind of like had to figure out, I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure what I can do here. I'll kind of have a look around at what some of the others are doing. None of the multiverse founders token stuff had published anything, so I had nothing to go on. And the other project at the time was kind of doing their own thing and making up these benefits that they'd have in the future. And I couldn't figure out how exactly they were actually going, like that they could promise these things because they didn't even have a game. Like they had nothing really going, and they're just talking about it and that kind of thing. So I hate promising things that I can't deliver. I need to know that I can deliver before I promise them. So it was really difficult for me to make that decision to sell them in the first place. And so I ended up creating chests that people could buy, which contain a bunch of items, some of the like really expensive items these days. Gave those away along with a bunch of other benefits and a few other things. And since then, I've only ever had people keep asking, when do we get more free stuff? Why haven't you airdropped things? Why haven't you given other things? And I think I looked at the total value that I'd given out from those things that cost 100 US, and I'd given like 100 times more value. And I'm just like, I if I keep creating stuff for that, the $100 that I got from that person in the first place to help raise the funds of the game it's gone, like it's disappeared. So I can't just do that forever. But in saying that, I've been trying to keep some sort of value for them and give future benefits and that kind of thing. And to me, in my mind, like a founder's token is something you kind of get at the start because you helped do it. There's not necessarily a massive value from it that you gain, but you kind of helped out this project in the early stage, and you may or may not get something back. So for these ones, you already kind of got something back, people like yourself, Tarantula, you sort of like wanted to, you bought in later. To me, it's not like a, um, like you weren't there at the start, so it's not like a true founder sort of thing, like
Mhm.
you were there, but you can kind of buy into it. So it's always been like a really weird concept for me to allow this founders token to be kind of passed along to other people, and they're like, yeah, now I'm a founder. Um, and I don't know, like I don't know where the end should be. Like for me, like I kind of did this statue in the town center, so that was kind of stamped in time to say, yep, these are the people that held it then. Like how many times should I do that into the future? People keep saying, I just bought this founders token. I just spent like a couple $1,000s or whatever and bought it. What do I get for it? And I'm well, I can't just keep promising stuff in the future when I don't get anything out of it. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like it's a weird unknown thing for me. So I've kind of created like the multiplayer thing in the future, the benefit. Um, and I think over time now that the engine price has gone up, it's kind of become a little bit more valuable for me because there's a transfer fee on it that's a little bit higher now. So while I was kind of avoiding it for a while there, I'm trying to like incorporate it in a way that it doesn't become like too powerful, but it still allows people to kind of like pass like this torch around to each other if they're no longer willing to hold that torch while still getting some sort of a benefit for it in a small way. Nothing like they're not going to like, you get it and suddenly you get several $1,000s or something. Like it doesn't make any sense. There's no, how does that work financially? But at least you can kind of pass this thing. Like I don't necessarily call it even a founder's token anymore. It kind of doesn't make sense. It's kind of more like a supporter's token. So I'm trying to push it along as that now. So maybe the name is outdated or something. But yeah, anyway, it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah. That does
That's
make
why.
complete sense. And in terms of the Founders token specifically, a lot of people are asking the question like, do you still have to pay for membership? Which is the case. We still have to pay for membership. There's no unlimited membership that goes with the Founders token. Is that some? Could you elaborate as to why that is not something for the Founders token specifically, and why? And would you envision to introduce such a token in the future? Because some other games on the blockchain are doing that.
Um, I don't know how they're going to necessarily financially support that or what the game themselves gets out of it. Um, it's not like you can go to your gym and say, "Hey, let me pay like $100 and I'll just be able to forever use the gym." It doesn't make business sense. Um, there might be something in this space where you can create a limited set, like maybe 100 of these things, and that whoever holds them gains this unlimited access. But someone needs to support that or needs to like
Subsidize it, build it
that.
out. Mhm.
Yeah. And so like if I did this, like if I was another game and I was like, yeah, I want to sell these things. I'm going to sell like 20,000 of them and everyone buys them. And I've said I'm going to give unlimited access to the game forever. If everyone else leaves and there's just these 20,000 people to support, like you're just going to go bankrupt. I don't know how that's supposed to work. I know people seem to expect it for some reason that they should just be able to buy something once and be forever rich or something. I'm like, I'd love to know how that works. Like I'll just do that instead, But yeah, I mean, if I can make something work like that, then it's good. But like, it's to me, it's more like benefits, and maybe that could be something in the future where you hold this token and it gives you a benefit of doing something. So for example, trades, you might get a specific percentage of trades that are in your region. I don't know, like I'm just spitballing here, but it could be something like that. But it also needs to give a benefit to the developer in order to keep that continuing, because otherwise all it ends up being is something that I've sold initially, something that I need to continue supporting in the future, but something that I'm no longer getting any income from. So it kind of needs to like work in all ways for it to continue.